Welcome, guys, to the show. It is the Week 5 recap show. This is becoming one of my favorite parts of the week, for sure. I got the Demons and the Bears here. Thank you guys for joining me. Really excited about this week breakdown, for sure.
Thanks for having
Be
me.
here, John.
Oh man, it's a good one. Holy smokes! Looking at the standings real quick there before we move into the matchups from last week, and wow, the Bears were saying, look at all the 3-2 teams. It has gotten real close there. Holy smokes! And then we'll take a quick look at the bottom there. Wow, man, 4 teams don't make it, and 8 teams make it to the playoffs, and we're about halfway through now of the season of 11 games. It is about to get real. So let's move into the first matchup, which was the Piranhas and the Vipers. We'll get right into it. If you've never experienced heartbreak before, this is the game to watch. If you've never experienced it before, because oh man, every owner seemed to experience it but the Piranhas. The Piranhas once again with an absolutely classic, phenomenal performance, pulling it out at the end, and in overtime to win. The Vipers, honestly, in my opinion, watching this game, they were holding it down, and I believe it was the whole first half. I felt like it was the Vipers, and then there was one play. I can't remember. I'm sure the Devons will remember. I believe it was third down or second down, and they threw a pass to Andre Watson in the third quarter down the middle of the field. There was only one receiver, and there's like 5 defenders, and the Piranhas receiver still caught it. And as soon as he did that, and they were rolling like that and started moving it with the Piranhas, I was like, uh oh, here they come. And sure enough, the Piranhas pull it off in a dramatic win at the end. Demons, love to get your drive-by drive. Demons drive-by drive brought to you by the Demons.
Yeah, absolutely, John. Friday night games. It was a night of vengeance. Piranhas and Vipers. This was one that we talked about. Vipers, the only team to beat the Piranhas last year in the regular season. Piranhas got their revenge this year. Second road game in a row for the Piranhas. The Vipers coming off a big win last week. They went both New England playbooks again this week. And the Vipers owner had talked about Shane Lott, saying that he was in for some big games now that they've made their change at quarterback and playbook. We see how that turns out right from the get-go. Shane Lott gets the opening kickoff, makes a big kick return to start the game, but the Vipers fail to do anything with it, go 3 and out. Piranhas get the ball, and Alonzo Graham on this drive looks a little shaky. He has at midfield right in the first quarter, he has all the receivers covered, and he's just staying. He's got all day in the pocket to throw, but he could have ran. Instead, he opts to throw to one of his covered receivers, Quentin Hester, with an easy interception. Vipers respond with Phil Clemens running touchdown. Shane Lott, 3 catches for 37 yards on the drive. He's showing up like his owner wanted him to. Piranhas go 3 and out. Vipers are in control of this game in the first quarter until Vipers defense steps up, intercepts Quincy Barnett on the next drive. Barnett throwing on almost every play. It's that change of playbook, that change of quarterback. They're throwing the ball like crazy on the Vipers offense. But after that turnover, Quincy Barnett throwing that pick, Piranhas put it in the end zone 4 plays later. Courtney Mitchell to the tight end with a nice over-the-shoulder catch in the end zone. Vipers punt right after that, and you can feel that this game's starting to become a little more evened out. The Vipers lost the momentum there with that interception. After the 2-minute warning, Alonzo Graham throws another pick, this time a pick 6. He's got a receiver basically just standing there on the wide side of the field, and the Vipers scoop it up, run it down the field for the pick 6. Piranhas fumble on the kick return. Vipers recover. Barnett leads another touchdown drive. Somehow not intercepted in the end zone on this touchdown catch by Omens. Go back and watch it near the end of the second quarter. And somehow Omens makes this play. But then, classic Piranhas fashion, they put a touchdown in right before halftime on an all-passing drive with 9 seconds left in the half.
Wow.
And they end up putting that second touchdown in. It's their MO. the Piranhas, they score touchdowns right in that 2-minute warning, and they did it again this week. They start the third quarter with the ball, and Burnsides has not been a factor in this game in the first half. He starts getting the rock in the second half, gets 8 carries for 55 yards on a field goal drive. Vipers follow that up with a 3-and-out in a relatively inactive third quarter for scoring. Piranhas get a touchdown on their next drive, but that actually goes into the fourth quarter. Burnside's again taking over the drive. He starts to take over the game for the Piranhas. But it was Andre Watson who got a 20-yard TD on the left side of the end zone. Now we're actually just at this point in the game. There's only 2 minutes left. There's only 3 drives up to this point in the second half, and Barnett starts taking over, starts getting the Vipers rolling with just over 2 minutes left. He only had 77 passing yards at that point in the game.
Wow.
He looked shaky on the drive as well until he hit his wide receiver Johnson for a 51-yard catch and run over the middle. Somehow Johnson breaks through the defense, but he didn't get the touchdown. He only got a field goal on the drive. Minute 30 remaining as they got stuffed on third down in the red zone. Piranhas go 3-and-out. Barnett's almost picked again after he gets the ball back. But then he hits Shane Lott down the left sideline for 50 yards. Doesn't get in the end zone again. These Piranhas are chasing down these Vipers receivers when they get open deep. But Clemens caps the drive off with a 2-yard run, and it's 31-24 Vipers.
Wow.
Now, Piranhas are running out of time. The clock's ticking, but Alonzo Graham drives him down, hits a 34-yard touchdown pass to the back of the end zone on a diving catch. Reviewed, ruled incomplete. Very next play, Alonzo Graham chucks it to the end zone again, this time to his main man, Andre Watson. No doubt on this one, 34-yard touchdown. Piranhas tie the game. Vipers are feeling the heartbreak right away because everyone knows that when the Piranhas get like this, they start looking unstoppable. They get the ball to start. The game goes to overtime. Piranhas get the ball. Burnside leads the charge. Graham hits Courtney Mitchell on a diving catch on a 29-yard corner on the right sideline on this drive. A beautiful play. And it's a 38-yard field goal to close it out. Again, Piranhas find a way to win. They lost the turnover battle 3-1 in this game. Alonzo Graham was throwing some bad picks. There was even a pick 6, like I mentioned earlier. The Vipers failed to capitalize, failed to put the Piranhas away when they had the chance. Piranhas get their vengeance, and they just keep rolling.
Wow, what a game, eh? Unbelievable. These Piranhas, man, they just came back and they felt a little bit of weakness from the Vipers, and they took full advantage of it, man. How do you feel about the Vipers quarterback, Quincy Barnett? The Piranhas, they're just perfect everywhere, and obviously we could talk about them. We'll talk about them next, but these Vipers, how do you feel about their quarterback's performance? Because that is the surrounding question around these Vipers. Their defense plays great. Their running back plays great. Everyone's just focused on this quarterback. And like you were saying, he only had 77 yards in the fourth quarter.
And I think some of his receivers made him look good near the end of that game, too. They padded his stat, like Johnson and Lott really padded his stats near closer to the end of that fourth quarter. He looked shaky. I didn't think he looked great in this one. Last week he looked pretty good. This week, not so much.
Yeah, wow. Any points that you could you want to mention there, Bears, about this game before we look at the rankings?
Anytime you think you have the Piranhas, you stop Burnsides, Graham comes out. If you think you got Graham stopped, Burnsides comes out. It's just they're looking rough. They look unstoppable.
Every league's got that team, and this is that team for sure. These Piranhas are running on all cylinders.
I felt for the Vipers. I just came off of 2 tough overtime losses, so I know how it feels.
The heartbreak is real. This league is cold-blooded.
Especially when you're winning at the end, it hurts more.
Let's go take a look at these rankings for these Vipers. I'll give these Vipers a little bit of love before we go talk about these Piranhas forever. Hey, Vipers, man, 1-4, really? No way. I guess so. 12th total offense, 11th total defense. Yeah, they got a good rush defense. Yeah, they got a good rush offense. But man, those ones stand out big, and now they're going on the road against these Scorpions who have been playing really good offensively. Like, they might have the 8th total offense, but they're definitely playing really well, those Scorpions. What stands out to you, Demons, when you look at these rankings and maybe this matchup coming up in Week 6?
The offensive stats show you that that's a team that's struggling to get its quarterback going. They've made a lot of trades. They've made a lot of moves at quarterback. They're starting to settle in with Barnett. Maybe he can start getting some momentum going for the team, but that offense is struggling. Obviously 12th overall and 9th on the pass. It's going to be tough against the Scorpions. They're a stout defense. Quincy Barnett's going to have to play better than he did this week if they want to pull off a win on the road.
That's for sure. Look at that number 1 turnover differential there. That's scary going against the 7th. Tied for 7th there.
I will give Shane Lott his props on this one. The owner said Shane Lott was going to get more involved, and he did, and he had a good game last week, though. 2 weeks in a row now for Shane Lott. He's definitely seeing the ball more, which bodes well for the Vipers.
Yeah, he is their future. He's their star wide receiver, only 2-year pro, and he's rated he is the highest rated player on their offense that isn't their quarterback, and yeah, he is an absolute stud, man, and getting him more involved is the absolute answer for sure. I'm excited about these Vipers. I hope they, get this going, because they put everything together. Now it's just about, getting the right playbook and getting the ball bounced the right way for them. Hopefully these Vipers can turn it around. Bears, anything you want to mention while I switch these graphics about these rankings and about this matchup next week?
There's still 6 games left. I think the Vipers can maybe make a miraculous comeback. They're a good team. Now they're settling in with a quarterback. We'll see. And then also, Scorpions, they've been looking good, so it can be a good game.
There you go, absolutely. So, that, before we get into the next matchup, actually, we're going to go look at these Piranhas. Cannot skip the Piranhas, obviously. These Piranhas, what can you say bad about them? Man, first for points per game, third for total offense, first for rushing offense, second for total defense. They have the 3rd best offense and the 2nd best defense. Do I really need to say any more? They're 5-0, and this is the championship match this week, coming up in Week 6. Super excited about this matchup. Both of these teams call offenses and defenses that both counter each other. It's going to be a great game. And the last time these teams played in the championship game is Season 1. Well, they played in Season 2. I believe the Piranhas won. They beat them, so maybe they can make it 2 years in a row. But anything that stands out to you? What doesn't stand out to you? Or what's the key for this matchup coming up here, Demons? What do you think about this one?
From the Piranhas' point of view, the key to they just have to keep doing what they're doing. They get to impose their will on other teams, and the other teams have to adjust and do something about it. Every week, we've been pointing out, a couple weeks ago, it was the Bears noted as the team to beat. Last week, it was the Wildcats noted as the team to beat. And the whole season, the Piranhas are rolling, and they're clearly the best team. 5-0 is showing that it's about time we say the Piranhas are the team to beat right now. They're the ones that have got the target on their back. The rest of the league clearly sees what they're capable of, and if you can't beat the Piranhas, you're not going to go very far. It looks like it's theirs to lose right now.
Absolutely, very well said. And these Dragons have been playing really well. I'm really excited about this 6th ranked offense and 6th ranked defense. They look very, very balanced. Excited about these Dragons because they've actually started to get some momentum going their way, and their offense is starting to gel, and the young defense is starting to really hold teams down. So very excited about this matchup here. These Piranhas, man, their offense is so good, it just outshines their defense, because their defense also keeps them in all these games. None of these games do they get blown out. They're not in a lot of shootouts, and not a lot of high-scoring shootouts that I've noticed. And
their defense does not get enough credit. You're right about that. Their defense has been solid in every game.
Yeah.
Even if they let in a lot of points, they usually get their turnovers, or they'll make their plays here and there to keep them in the game.
They do, man. It's so true. Like, I haven't looked at what the 0-3 stats are, or the third down conversions are against the Piranhas, but I bet you they're low. Go ahead, Bears.
If you think about it, they threw 3 picks and they still managed to stay in the game. So that shows a lot about their defense.
Yeah, like, seriously. Neil, I believe it's Neil Mitchell, the corner, number 22, and Devontae Jones, the second-year pro corner that the Piranhas drafted. These two guys are just playing absolutely phenomenal, and I'm really excited about it. Also, Bob Rose, the free safety for the Piranhas, he's just playing absolutely phenomenal as well. Let's move on to the next matchup, because we could spend all day talking about these guys. So Friday, the second game was these Wildcats versus the Gators. I'm going to go out and say this is probably the biggest shock of the week. One of these or undefeated teams, should I say, we knew were going to lose, and the Wildcats are the first one to be victims at the Gators in the swamp. The felines or the cats could not manage to use their agility in the swamp lands, and the Gators had the advantage, and they definitely stopped the offense for these Wildcats. The Wildcats defense played really good, and they kept them in it the whole game. I think it's a win for the Wildcats defense, but their offense looked terrible. The rookie running back really was showing that he's a rookie in this one, and Jeannie Ingram really trying to get things done, but this new look Gators defense, calling a New England defense, really was swarming the pass, and the Wildcats had no answer for it, and the Gators just outlasted them to the end. Demons, I'd love to hear your drive-by-drive for this one.
Yeah, it's another, like I mentioned, it's another game of vengeance here. Gators going against the Wildcats, looking at that championship rematch, and I think records get thrown out the window in that case. Gators are hungry to get that revenge game, get the revenge win under their belt. They definitely earned this one. There was some pregame talk about the Wildcats going 8-0, but the Gators put an end to that right quick. The defensive switch to New England paid off for them. They only allowed 19 points, and their defense looked good doing it. The first drive of the game, Gators got the ball, and their offense started sluggishly. I mean, you see goose eggs in the first quarter there. Gators punted on their opening drive. Wildcats get the ball, and they're moving the ball slowly. There was an Ingram run on a third down at midfield where he broke a tackle and on his way to a first down and gutted his way to it. That was I wanted to point that play out because he didn't look very fast, but it was a nice play by the quarterback to gut it out. But they ended up after that, he almost threw 2 interceptions and they had to punt, unfortunately. But it was a nice play by the quarterback on that one. The slow start continued until a big throw by Dorsey with 10 seconds left in the first quarter. He had a huge throw down the left sideline. Now the Wildcats ended up preventing a touchdown on that after that play. The Gators got the ball in the red zone, but the Wildcats held the line at the 1-yard line, forcing a field goal from the 1. Huge defensive stand for the Wildcats.
Big time.
So then again, Wildcats get the ball back. Their offense is struggling today. Left outside linebacker Al Johnston for the Gators gets a nice coverage sack on a second down, and then the following play, the Gators D pressures Ingram, and they force a punt after a decent drive that the Wildcats had gotten going, but no big plays from the Wildcats, just small plays moving the ball, but they get stuffed and have to punt. Dorsey then leads a touchdown drive, and the Gators go up 10-0 after a 24-yard touchdown to Henson. Wildcats get the ball back, and their 2-minute drill goes into place. They end up getting a field goal drive, but they're stopped in the red zone. One of the stories of the Wildcats' day here is a couple field goals when it would have been nice to get touchdowns, but that also was the same story for the Gators. Wildcats get the ball to start the third quarter, and they end up punting again. Wow. And yeah, a lot of punts in this one. Defenses came to play. Offenses, they were struggling. They couldn't solve what the defenses were giving them. Gators got the ball back, moved it a bit, punted again. Ingram, like I just said, could not solve the Gators D in this one. He had a hard-fought field goal drive in the third quarter with 21 seconds left in the third. That's all the Wildcats could muster in 3 quarters of football was 6 points. This Wildcats team has been high flying for 4 weeks, and they only mustered 6 points in 3 quarters in this one. Dorsey took control at the beginning of the fourth quarter, dissected the Wildcats D. He finally started seeing some chinks in the armor, got 3 nice completions, ending the drive with a 31-yard touchdown to Henson. Then Troy Jackson gets his name on the stat sheet. 2 big catches, 1 for a touchdown. Wildcats go for 2. Unfortunately, missed the convert. It's 17-12 with 4:06 remaining in the game. So all game we're seeing some struggles, and then right at the beginning of the fourth quarter, both teams just quick strike touchdowns. Gators end up closing out the game. They score a TD on a 9-play clock-killing drive. After that, with 4:06 remaining, they ended up taking the clock down to 150 after a touchdown drive. The last drive, the Wildcats they made Engram's stats look a little better on this one, and Jackson seemed to be the only one doing anything productive for the Wildcats. The Gators do get the ball back to close the game out. Dorsey's noted as the game MVP. Debatable. I think I would have picked someone on defense, but the announcers of the game chose Dorsey for the quarterback for the Gators. I mean, he didn't play terrible, but I think the Gators defense earned it.
Absolutely. Yeah, these Wildcats really struggled on offense, and the Gators definitely held strong, and the Gators were able to come through at the end. An awesome breakdown, Demons. Thank you so much. What a great game. Bears, any last points about this game that you might have wanted to point out that you think we might have missed?
Not really. Just I was surprised. Like you were saying, Wildcats rookie running back didn't really get going. Would have helped a lot, and then like the Demons were saying there, they would have capitalized instead of getting field goals. It probably would have had a different outcome.
Yeah, they definitely settled for a lot of field goals. If those could have been touchdowns, most games they are. So the Gators definitely did what they had to do, and they got it done. So congratulations to the Gators. Really, hopefully they can take that momentum and turn it in their favor and really turn this around for their franchise. That would be huge for them. Looking at their rankings right now, they're 10th total offense, 10th at the rush, and 7th at the pass. I feel like that's a deceiving pass because that pass offense is starting to really gel together. But that total defense, 12th total defense, is going to be hard to win games, and that's why they've been struggling when you can't stop the pass like that. Also, they are last for turnovers. Holy smokes. But the Gators now going on the road against these really hot, really impressive Demons with this high-flying #1 passing offense. And definitely no joke of a defense, that's for sure. 4th-ranked defense. But it's cool to see, actually, this because the Gators last season and the season before usually had the #1 passing offense, and now it's their turn to face it. So Demons,
Cough, trading their quarterback.
yeah, cough, yeah. Demons, give me a good look at this rankings and what stands out to you on this, and maybe a little quick look at the Week 6 matchup.
Well, we're talking about their pass offense quick here. Dorsey hasn't played every game, and he's the guy they made their trade for. We've got a couple games of Irv Walsh in there, and
Right.
with one just absolutely horrific game.
Right.
And so that definitely takes that 7th-ranked pass offense and knocks it down a few more notches than it should.
Right.
I think I agree with you that offense is more they're not the 7th most threatening off. They're higher up the list than that. How much higher? Well, we'll have to see once Dorsey starts settling in over the next few weeks here. The defense needs some work. They played a great game against the Wildcats, though. Still 12th in total defense, but that change in play calling was huge for them.
Absolutely, it was. Yeah, that was a big call, and they made the right call. That's for sure. The Gators, just like most teams, though, they play really well at home, and I think this was a really big home game for them, and they saw their season go in a certain way, and they made the right changes and the right moves, and hopefully they can take that momentum because they got 2 wins And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but in this league, it's hard to get wins. So that could move them up big time by getting another win here. These Gators going against these Demons is going to be a real cool matchup. I'm really excited to see how these Demons play at home because they've been playing really good at home. That's for sure. Let's go take a look at the Wildcats. Is there any point that you wanted to make about the Gators? Bears?
Now they did a really good job. Like they really impressed me this week. They're not something to be just scoffed at anymore.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of people may have been thinking they were the last team in the league after that performance against the Scorpions. Now they beat the Wildcats, so the Gators definitely looking to turn things around. Big win for those Gators. Absolutely proud of them for doing that. These Wildcats. Go ahead.
You go ahead. I was gonna say they got to use this momentum. If their flame gets put out, it's gonna look very bad.
Yeah, hopefully they can use that momentum for sure. These Wildcats now, they may have fallen off a little bit, and they had a little bit of a losing streak last season. Hopefully they can avoid that and get right back to it with a home game. Luckily they didn't lose at home like that and then have to go on the road. Now they at least get to come home, bandage up, and maybe take out their aggression on the Rhinos here. Rhinos coming to town with the 5th total offense, which definitely is a good offense. They score a lot of points. That's for sure, with the 3rd for points per game. But these Wildcats' 2nd total offense is amazing. 3rd total passing offense, which is phenomenal. And they're number one, tied for number 1 in turnovers, is huge. Demons, what stands out to you in these rankings, and maybe give me a little breakdown of the Week 6 matchup here between the Rhinos and Wildcats?
That 10th ranked total defense, with the third best rush defense. Like I thought the Wildcats defense was better than 10th, and with a +5 turnover differential, maybe that's where you show up the defensive stat more than the yardage stat. They have a good offense. They've had one off week. We'll see if it's a trend or not next week. I doubt it. I feel like they'll get back on track, especially against the Rhinos, who their defensive numbers 7th, 4th, 8th. It goes. I think what you got to look at with the Rhinos is they're 1-4, but have the 3rd most points scored. They let a lot of points in, so I think the Wildcats will get back on track offensively. Their defense if their defense can step up, I think they'll get back in the win column.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anything that stands out to you about the Wildcats rankings and this matchup against the Rhinos in Week 6, Bears?
To go off of what the Demons were saying, I think you show up more in the turnovers and the yardage for the Wildcats there. And then Mark Marshall is going to be a big story. If he can perform, it's going to be a good game because he did really good this week.
Yeah, Mark Marshall for the running back for the Rhinos. Absolutely. That's definitely a good point. If he can have a big game, that definitely will help their rookie quarterback, Alonzo Atkins. But
yes, it will.
Let's go right into the next matchup then on that point. And the Saturday game, the first game on Saturday, was the Cobras versus the Dragons. Wow, what a game this was. The Dragons felt like they were in control early, playing really well against these Cobras, but the Cobras just consistent the whole time. The quarterback played really well. It was such a great game. Went right down to overtime. You gotta love that. And the Cobras get away with the win in overtime. Demons, love to hear your drive-by drive for this one.
Started off, there's a big point to make about the Cobras in this one. They made a huge change on offense this week, calling the Saints offensive playbook. The Cobras have had a relatively conservative offense in my mind. They rely heavily on their defense to win them games, which is a fantastic defense. The Dragons, no changes to their playbook as far as I know. And they're a well-balanced team all around. the Cobras were looking for something explosive on offense. If you call calling the Saints they get the ball to start the game, and right away, first play, right from scrimmage, explosive play. This is the type of thing that the Cobras really haven't shown us this season. But it was wide receiver Williams down the right sideline, 42-yard catch. It was a nice pass by Simmons, and I think you saw that play a lot during the game. Was this deep fly to Williams down the right sideline, and they tried it a lot, and it was successful a fair bit for them. Now that drive ended up with a field goal, but the key thing on that first drive too, Charles Hackett did not see the ball. That's unusual for the Cobras. They've leaned on Hackett a fair bit, and they tried something completely different this week on offense. Dragons, they respond with a field goal drive of their own. It was a goal line stand by that Cobras D, though. Unfortunately, Cobras fumble the kick return. Dragons recover. 7 plays later, RJ Barber's in the end zone on a short drive. Cobras go 3 out again with another try on a deep shot, and you could see right away the Cobras. They're trying something new on offense. They're throwing the ball deep, and they're trying to put pressure on that secondary of the Dragons. Unfortunately, ends in a punt for them. Dragons put a nice drive together to follow up and get a field goal. It's 13-3 for the Dragons. The next possession, the Dragons finally get into the end zone. Ron Simmons hits Hutton on a deep corner from down to the 13-yard line, which sets up a Williams TD catch. Who Williams just had a phenomenal game. He was catching passes all over the place. Right before the half, Dragons get another field goal drive with Platt making some nice throws. I haven't mentioned his name yet, and this analysis has been really heavily Cobras favored, but Platt made some nice throws in the first half and got the Dragons a nice lead going into halftime. But they started the ball in the third and punted relatively quickly. This is when Hackett started seeing the ball a little more. The Cobras started to get him more involved, and then they pull a play action, a touchdown to tight end Jimmy Smith, and they end up taking the lead 17-16 off of the play. So Hackett's relatively quiet. He starts getting the ball. They go to play action, and it was a perfect play calling by the Cobras on that drive. And then their D stands strong, forces another punt. The Dragons were just having a hard time with the D in the middle of this game. They couldn't get through that Cobras defensive secondary, and the D line was having a good day for the Cobras as well. The Cobras get the ball back and go for another deep shot after that. Which again, very unusual for them to see this, but every drive seemed to have a deep shot for the Cobras, and there was a 67-yard touchdown up the right sideline to Williams. It was that same play, that same route, and paid off again for them. They connected. Simmons to Williams was a huge connection in this game. With up by 8 with only 2 minutes 33 seconds left, the Cobras D forced another Dragons punt. Cobras end up getting the ball, kill some clock, half the punt. And the Dragons have the ball with 1 minute 6 seconds left and 1 timeout. It took Platt and the Dragons only 36 seconds to get the next touchdown. Platt to Perkins. They get the 2-point convert to RJ Barber on a nice lateral to the left. And with 3 timeouts and 30 seconds left, only need a field goal to win on a tie game at 24. Cobras let it go to overtime. And that happened to me in one of my games a few weeks ago, and I can't stand to see that. You got 30 seconds on the clock. I think you take the chance, especially when you've been trying these deep balls all game. But hey, they opted to let it go to overtime. They were lucky enough to get the ball, and in overtime, it was the same story of Simmons to Williams again down that right sideline.
Wow.
They ended up hooking up again and get a field goal off of another big play, and they take the win in overtime. So the switch on offense paid off for the Cobras. I'm sure their owner liked to see a little more explosiveness on offense in this one because it was definitely exciting to see some of those big plays. Be nice. They've leaned on Hackett. They didn't need him as much in this one. He had some involvement, but not nearly he wasn't as nearly as much of a name in this one as he was previously. For the Dragons, they just they did something special late, but they didn't feel like they had that explosiveness on their own end this game. They just kind of felt that they didn't have that special play that they needed to make in this one to pull it out.
Yeah, they definitely needed to do something that was a bit of a stalemate for them offensively in the second and third, for sure. What a great breakdown. Yeah, I absolutely agree. The Cobras, man, it's just so good on defense. They do this to so many people. They make them question themselves because the Dragons after this game are probably like questioning themselves on offense. But the Cobras just do this to people. Their defense is just so good. Definitely an underrated defense. They had the number one rated defense, I believe, for the first few weeks there. Ron Simmons comes through with 145.3 quarterback rating, 288 yards, and 3 touchdowns on only 3 completions. Ron Simmons, to me, really took over the game and led them to a victory. They were questioning or kind of deciding who the quarterback should be between Ty Brandt, who had a great play for the Cobras last season, but Ron Simmons is definitely their guy. And like you said, Brian Williams, 4 catches, 122 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Definitely a huge game for that connection there. Bears, any point about this game that you want to mention before we look at the rankings?
Yeah, the Cobras defense really proved that they're really fucking good. I mean, fudging good.
Yeah, they're really good. Yeah, they definitely
And
proved.
I agree with the Demons. I don't know why they didn't choose to try to get a score within the last 30 seconds, but to each their own, they end up winning, so it's no big deal.
Yeah, that's just the Madden AI.
Yeah, it's let me down, so it's okay.
Oh man, yeah, it's exciting to watch though, because all these teams are different, so they all take different approaches, and some take different approaches different weeks. So it's exciting to see, that's for sure. Let's go take a look at these rankings of the Cobras, who actually are hosting a game against the Bears. The Bears are coming to town against these Cobras. Man, these Cobras are going to get tested. Look at this. They do have the number one defense again this week, and they are now playing the number one offense. That has got to be the story of the week here. The number one defense going against the number one offense. That's going to be super exciting. These Cobras shut down teams, man. They really do. And they're really proving it. But their passing offense is ranked 11th. But Ron Simmons had an incredible week. If he can play the way he played last week, this is going to be a really hard team to beat. But 23 points per game, ouch. 4 points per game. Demons, what stands out to you when you look at these rankings? And give me a little bit on this matchup in week 6, please.
I'm going to drift a little bit away from the Cobras offense on this one. I think they had a good week on this one, but their defense is still the anchor of that team, in my opinion. The yardage does tell the story in this one. They are well deserving of the first overall defense. -1 turnover differential. That one isn't so much telling as the points per game to me, because what doesn't show up on this stat sheet is is points allowed per game. And if you're 3-2 and you're only scoring 23.6 points a game, that means you're not allowing a whole lot of points either. And that is a telling number for that defense. I think they had one off week where they got torched, and the rest of the time they've been a stalwart defense to play against. Yeah. Be interesting to see if the Bears can find some big plays against them, because that's the part where they shut teams down, is they just don't allow a lot of big plays, and that's where a lot of teams can really turn some of these games into shootouts.
Oh man, what a great point, Demons. That's a great point. Yeah, they're only scoring 23 points a game, and they're 3-2. Wow, that is so true. But they're going against the second, the team that scores the second most points, and they score the second worst in points. So, wow, let's see how that works. Get your popcorn ready, Bears. You got a little bit on this matchup, and what stands out to you when you look at the Cobras?
The Cobras, their defense is going to be their biggest issue for me to go against. But if you look, you got the 4th best rush offense. So Willie Hilliard can go to town, and it's going to be a good game for us. But number one defense versus number one offense. It's going to be the story.
Yeah, well, yeah, man. I really hope. Go ahead.
And if the Bears can shut down Hackett, because we have the number one Russia defense, then we'll be good. Get your popcorn ready.
Yeah, that's also a good matchup. We're talking about the Cobras here, though. I'm just kidding.
Oh, I'm too biased right now. I gotta stop.
I'm just joking. Hey, the rushing offense and the rushing defense from the Cobras versus the Bears. You're right. The third-ranked rushing offense for the Cobras, which actually didn't really show up much this game, but usually does going against that number one ranked defense in the Bears. That is a big one. A few number ones here. Few number ones on both sides of the board. So that is super exciting. Okay, now let's go talk about these Dragons. These Dragons. We talked about this matchup a little bit earlier with the Piranhas. These Dragons are now on the road. They lost a real close one there, but they're looking great. They could be 4-1 right now. And their only loss, besides this week, was against the Wildcats. So, man, the Dragons are looking good offensively. Definitely deceiving 6th ranked passing offense and a deceiving 6th passing defense. They have quite a few sixes on the board. Look at that. 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. Wow. Okay, Dragons. They're looking very impressive, but Demons, give me a little breakdown. Give me what stands out to you on this matchup and the Dragons.
Well, we've got a team that's near 500, 3-2, going against the Piranhas next week. You've got to favor the Piranhas in it. Dragons come out of this 3-3 with all those sixes on the board. They are literally the middle of the road team by definition. So, if you're not as good as the Dragons, you're in the bottom 6. If you're better than them, you're in the top 5. It's that seems to be. I think that seems to be the way they're playing right now. They did, like I said, they didn't do anything special in this last game against the Cobras until the very last drive, but they have been playing good, and those numbers are good. I think you need to be great to beat the Piranhas.
Ooh, good point. That's a good point. They're good, but are they great? Great point. Bears, anything that stands out to you when you look at these Dragons rankings?
We're gonna get demonetized for the 666 thing, but. And then, anyways, other than that, they're like Demon said, they're middle of the pack. They if they can play in the better half of the pack like they do in the 3 other wins, then it'll be a good game. But if they fall off like they have in their 2 losses, then it's going to be a good game for the Piranhas.
Absolutely. Now let's move into the next matchup, the second game of the Saturday afternoon. Demons versus the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays said that they need to put a cork in fine as wine and twine. Was his official statement after the game, but he was unable to bottle him up, that's for sure. What a performance by Shane Antwine and Eric Watson and the Demons. Absolutely phenomenal game to watch. If you only can watch one game this week, this is one of the games I definitely recommend. What an awesome ending. Blue Jays just can't get it done. The ball just has not been able to bounce their way all season. And I don't think that they're surprised that it didn't happen this game either. Demons looking super impressive. Watch out for these Demons, man. And speaking of the Demons, love to get a breakdown of this one from you. I would love to hear. This is a juicy one.
Absolutely, it's Shane Antwine. He had a monster game, like 3 touchdowns, over 200 yards receiving on 8 catches. Yeah, if you put a cork in Antwine, the Demons struggle, as we saw when I played the Bears. It wasn't. I think it wasn't until overtime that he broke loose, and that's when he took that game from them. But from the Blue Jays' point of view, Eric Reeves is the big acquisition, and he had a good game here too. But they're 1-4 with Eric Reeves here, and that's got to be a head scratcher for the Blue Jays, because he's definitely a good quarterback. Just he's not getting it done for him in the win column. This one, to start off, I mean, the Demons, they've been a bad team on the road, 0-2 on the road going in, and their defense has been getting shredded. At home, their defense plays completely different. Their offense is not a problem, but their defense is Jekyll and Hyde. Blue Jays get the ball to start, and it looks like same old story here. They cut right through the Demons' D to start the game. It was an efficient drive, capped off with an 8-yard touchdown to Coyle on the left side, and Reeves was near perfect on the drive. It wasn't. It was a long, easy-looking drive for the Blue Jays. Demons, in what seems to be their classic fashion here, is they respond with a one-play drive, an 80-yard touchdown to Antwine down the left sideline. He did an out to the left and then just took it to the house. Outran the defense. Next drive, Blue Jays get it back and they start with their efficiency again. They start feeding Blade Higgins the ball. They mount a field goal drive, and Higgins has 53 yards rushing in the first quarter alone. Next drive, Demons respond with a touchdown, and you know who gets the finisher on a 3-yard he has 3 touchdowns, including the TD. It's Shane Antwine.
Wow.
After that drive, he already had 121 yards and 2 touchdowns. And that was early in the second quarter. Demons D holds the drive. Blue Jays to another field goal after that. Reeves had an open man on 3rd down on the 22, but the Demons got to him just before he released it, and the ball missed its mark, forcing a field goal. With 1:18 remaining, Demons get the ball back, and they have 3 timeouts. Watson throws a massive pick 6. Looks to Shane Antwine one too many times. He's in double coverage deep. Rookie free safety Adron Johnson, 65 yards, intercepts the ball there at his own 35-yard line and takes it back 65 yards for the touchdown.
Wow.
Huge turning point in the game, you'd think. But Watson on the next drive starts looking away from Antwine, spreads the ball around more, and then he hits Lamar Ball, 47-yard touchdown.
Wow.
A pretty quiet game for Lamar Ball up to that point. Because Antwine was taking over, but nice. He just outran the coverage, and it was a perfect touch pass right to the goal line. 47-yard touchdown. 39 seconds left. Blue Jays go 3 and out. They have the first punt of the game with basically no time left in the first half. It's halftime. Demons get the ball, 21-20 to start the second half. Crosby, whose name starts showing up in the second half, is another Demons receiver, one of the older receivers on the team. Makes a nice kick return to midfield, and then he makes a amazing tiptoe catch to get the Demons down to the 13-yard line. This catch was actually reviewed and upheld. Blue Jays on the next play make a nice defensive stop, containing Lamar Lester, and actually making him run out of bounds for an 8-yard loss. That just stopped the Demons' drive in its tracks, forced a field goal. Nice play by the Blue Jays defense on that one. On the next play, the next drive, it starts off with Reeves getting hit twice. It looks like it's going to be a 3 and out, and then Reeves throws the ball into by the time the ball got there, the 3 defenders around the receiver, and it was a jumping grab to get an important first down over all 3 defenders. Blue Jays turn that into a touchdown drive, and it was with Coyle capping the drive off, and they take the lead 24-27. That was a huge turning point, that catch, in over 3 defenders. Demons go 3 and out right after that, and they're trying another double coverage deep shot to Antwine. They're just trying to force it to him, and for how good of a game Antwine had, they did actually put a cork on him. After that second touchdown, Antwine was a non-factor until late. But Blue Jays drop the fair catch. Demons recover at the Blue Jays' 26-yard line to start the fourth quarter. It looked like the Demons are either going to tie it up or take the lead, but Watson forces a throw into the end zone. Second interception of the game, and that's Adron Johnson again, making the rookie free safety making plays. Wow. Demons force a punt off of that. Sacked by Demons rookie Victor Buchanan makes it a key defensive play. The clock winds down to under 2 minutes left. Demons down by 3. Crosby wide open on the seam route after a pump fake, draws the free safety again. The rookie. He bites on the pump fake, goes after Antwine, and Crosby's wide open down the seam, 80-yard touchdown. Blue Jays respond with a huge TD of their own. Second play of the drive, Antrell Adams is wide open on the right side. It wasn't very long of a throw, but the catch and run, he just outran everyone to the end zone, 67-yard touchdown, and the defenses are starting to turn into a non-factor. This game's opening up. Those 2 touchdowns only took about 40 seconds. The ending of this game was insane. With 1:19 remaining, Watson starts another drive for the Demons, but then he throws a costly pick deep in Blue Jays territory, getting hit on the throw. So the Blue Jays defense showed up for one play there, and they made it count. Defense gets to Watson, gets the hit, gets the pick. Blue Jays run the ball 3 times, burn all of the Demons' timeouts. Didn't get the first down, though, to close the game out, but they punt. With 20 seconds left in the game, the Demons get the ball back at midfield. Watson tries to get the ball to Antwine. Ball doesn't quite make it. Defense makes a nice play to knock it down. We got 9 seconds left in the game. And Watson hits Antwine down the left sideline, 50-yard touchdown. Blue Jays, for some reason, instead of playing prevent, go with a free safety blitz, leaving the corner all on his own to cover Antwine on this play. And Antwine just outran him. And no help over the top. Right in the back corner of the end zone is a great pass by Watson and a bad defensive call by the Blue Jays. Demons pick up their first road win of the year. There just wasn't any time for the Blue Jays to get anything going after that. Antwine was clearly the player of this game. 8 catches, 226 yards, 3 touchdowns. But definitely Coyle, a big game for the Blue Jays as well. And their free safety, Adron Johnson, 2 interceptions, including a pick 6 for the Blue Jays. Great game by him.
Yeah, wow, what a game, man. Absolutely, what a great breakdown, man. Yeah, Bears, you got any points about this game that you want to mention?
The ending was crazy. It had me out of my seat. Give big props to Eric Watson. Even after making mistakes, he still came back with the big drive with 20 seconds to go. And I dub him the player of the game, even though the owner thinks is his receiver. He came back and won them the game on that drive.
I would have agreed with you, but it's the 3 interceptions. He was trying to force Antwine the ball a lot of times there.
He made up for it, I think, with the comeback drive.
Well, you both got valid points. Eric Watson threw 5 touchdowns. That's 5 big ones, so it's kind of hard not to, it's hard to ignore that. But yeah, 3 touchdowns, Shane Antwine, and you're right, they were definitely forcing it to him. The rookie free safety made them pay. That was definitely a big part of that game, like you said. Super excited about that game. What an incredible ending. This league, there's just nothing like it. Let's go take a look at these Blue Jays here. These Blue Jays, 1-4. They just can't seem to get the win, but they have the second best passing offense. Somehow, Eric Reeves is playing really good. He threw 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. It definitely wasn't on Eric Reeves, so to speak. They got the second best passing offense, but pretty much middle of the pack for the offensive stats, but their defense is definitely on the bottom half of the pack with the 8th total defense, 10th against the rush, and 7th against the pass. -2 turnover differential, now going against these Werewolves on the road that have a really good defense. Demons, what stands out to you when you look at these Blue Jays rankings and this matchup in Week 6?
Every week we've been looking at that pass offense, watching them creep up the list, and they finally got to second here. Eric Reeves has taken this offense and given it and put his stamp on it. It's clearly his offense now, but they need to start winning football games. Eric Reeves can throw all the yards in the world. They got to start getting W's. He played a near perfect game, but there was some drives that ended in field goals that maybe you need touchdowns. Defense, they've got to help out. They've got to help the offense out. I'll give them that. But Eric Reeves can't do it all on his own. And I know we're dwelling on the quarterback here, but he's a big name and he's got to be discussed. I think it's the defense on the Blue Jays, though. They've got to figure something out there to maybe switch up a playbook. I don't know.
Yeah, there's some questions going on about that defense. They switched their safeties around. They were moving them around. They had Johnson playing at strong safety, and they had their corner playing at free safety, and then they're moving people around. I think they've finally figured out what they're going to do in their secondary, and hopefully they can lock it down. But this impressive rookie, Kerry Kirkland, who got the start again for the Werewolves, we'll get into that in the next matchups. But he's looking really good. So hopefully these Blue Jays can secure what they're doing defensively, because their offense is definitely playing really well. Sixth for points per game, averaging 31.2 points a game is really good. But these teams are on a 2-game losing streak, and both of them are 1-4. Bears, anything that stands out to you while I switch the graphics to the other team?
The Jays, their offense, like their passing offense, is ridiculously good, but I feel like their defense loses them the game. Teams just run all over them, and like you need to be able to stop that. And then being 7th and 10th in the both rush and pass respectively, you're not going to win too many games if you're allowing that many yards. Your offense can, like the Demons were saying, your offense can do anything they want, but if you're still allowing points, it's not gonna.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get wins.
Yeah, they scored 34 points offensively, but still lost the game, and threw 3 touchdowns and still lost the game. Got a defensive touchdown and still lost the game. Like, they did all the things right, but just was not enough for these high-powered offensive Demons. And speaking of these Demons, they get another home game now, sitting at 3-2, going against a 2-3 team, regardless of who it is. They got the number 1 passing defense going against the 12th ranked defense. These Demons are looking good, and it's looking even better now. They have the 4th ranked defense. Man, are these Demons looking hot. Eric Watson looking like an MVP quarterback. He's got the number 1 passing offense. Demons, give me a little bit on these Demons rankings and this matchup. Another home game for these Demons going against these Gators.
These Demons and that screw the run philosophy. We're airing it out over here. The first overall pass offense. So I mean, you could see how I like the team playing. I mean, they're throwing the ball deep all over the place and making big plays. That's how I like to win. That's how I like the team to win football games, and that's how I like it to go. I like quick strikes. I like to be able to score from anywhere. Defense is surprising. There's been some nasty games where my defense has got lit up. The turnover differential is really the only concerning thing on the page for me, is that my team has to start turning that around. I mean, even the 12th ranked rush offense, when Lester gets the ball, he looks good. So it's just he doesn't get the ball that much.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very good point. Everything on the board looks great. And that rushing offense, it's just they don't have a lot of attempts. Might be even the lowest attempts in the league.
It should be. It should be well below anyone else, I think. We'll see.
I'd love to see what that stat is, because I bet you it's really low what the running backs' attempts are. But the defense is, like you said, very surprising. And the big part of it is the pass defense, with such great receivers and such great quarterbacks in this league. To have the 4th ranked passing defense is super impressive, and that is why they're on a 2-game winning streak after starting 1-2. Now the Demons looking 3-2, hosting these Gators that have turned things around offensively. Let's see if they can bring that momentum with them, beating the 4-0 Wildcats, the defending champions. The Gators now bringing that momentum to the Demons home. Let's see if the Gators can keep it going. Let's see if the Demons can play like they do at home. Super excited about this matchup for sure. Let's go take a look at the the second last matchup of the Saturday, which was
one thing.
Oh, go ahead.
Eric the General Watson is looking amazing.
Calling him the General.
Yeah, he runs that offense, so yeah, he has to be.
Oh man, well, I believe he had 11 touchdowns going into this game, and he just threw 5. So
yeah, he looks good. Even with the picks, he makes up for it. Like I was saying, he always pulls out big plays or clutch plays when they need it.
16 touchdowns passed.
Yeah,
in 5 games. So that's Eric.
Yeah, he's holding it down.
Yeah, what a performance! The Demons. One problem they definitely don't have is their quarterback. Scorpions versus the Rhinos. Let's take a look at this game. Give this game a little bit of love before we get into the last matchup of the weekend. Wow, what a game! And again, another close one. Scorpions get the ball late and we're able to have great time management actually, and we're able to run the ball, the clock out, and stop these Rhinos from coming back late. They had a little bit of momentum there in the fourth quarter. Alonzo Atkins, the rookie quarterback, had a lot of help by his running back, Mark Marshall. But the Scorpions just prevailed and were a little bit more consistent, where they were settling for field goals and they were getting touchdowns. Demons, love to hear your breakdown of this game.
Yeah, sure. This one started very similar to the Demons and Blue Jays. Scorpions start with the ball and have a nice long drive. Tiki Carter doing a lot of the heavy lifting, as the Scorpions like to do. They get a field goal after a nice long drive, good time of possession, some nice play calling. And then the Rhinos respond with a one-play 75-yard touchdown run by Mark Marshall. It's their only play in the entire first quarter, but they ended the quarter up 7-3. The Scorpions get the ball back after that, and it's Tiki Carter continuing to march them down the field. And then he makes an unusual mistake right at the beginning of the second quarter, and he fumbles in the red zone. Recovered by the Rhinos, but Scorpions defense steps up, takes it back 3 plays later with an interception in Rhinos territory by middle linebacker Ernie Pounds, whose name's been mentioned a few times in these post-game shows. Leads to another field goal, though. Scorpions couldn't capitalize on the good field position. 7-6 for the Rhinos. The next possession, the Rhinos have an odd fumble, lose 9 yards that they recover. They end up going 3 and out, and Scorpions then end up getting their tight end involved. 2 corners to the left, tight end Bob Klein. 2 nice passes by Seymour, and then Tiki Carter ends up running a touchdown right at the 2-minute warning. Rhinos punt on the next drive, and Scorpions get another field goal before the half. Rhinos get the ball back and end up kicking a quick field goal to their own. They're down by 6 going into halftime. These Scorpions, though, in these close games like this, if they have a 6-point lead going to the second half, I like the Scorpions odds. They're very they're a really strong team with the lead. Their run game's really strong. They're hard to lock down. Rhinos got the ball to start the third quarter, had a promising drive, 10-play, 54-yard drive that took almost 3 minutes, stopped to a field goal. That Scorpions defense probably doesn't get enough love either, because they make stops when they need them. Scorpions' next drive took up the rest of the third quarter, capped off with an 8-yard touchdown pass, Seymour to Wilson. And Scorpions are up by 10 going into the fourth. They're looking good. The Scorpions were able to control this game for the most part. They avoided that Rhinos shootout style of play until the fourth quarter. The Rhinos, the next drive, Marshall leads the way, makes a couple of great runs, breaks some tackles, jukes some defenders, and then he ends up with a nice 28-yard TD run on this drive as well, where same story, just burns some defenders, making them look foolish on the way to the end zone. Scorpions respond with a kick return touchdown for the second week in a row. These Scorpions get a touchdown. Jackie Wilson with the kick return TD.
Wow.
That was enough for them at that point. They hit the 30 mark. Atkins hits Trey Spires for an 80-yard touchdown with 3:08 remaining for the Rhinos. Nice play, nice quick strike play by the Rhinos, but they never could get the lead. Scorpions regain control of the ball, and Tiki Carter just runs down the last 3 minutes of this game in classic Scorpions fashion at this point. I think you see in the style of play these Scorpions they bring to the table, and Tiki Carter kills the last 3 minutes of clock. Essentially, there was some other players mixed in there, but it was mostly him. Great game by the Scorpions. Great road win. I don't think it was really ever in doubt after halftime for them. I thought they controlled this game very well.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more. What a great game by the Scorpions on the road. Tiki Carter been closing it out, and it was just a little bit too late for the Rhinos. What a great game by the Scorpions. Got to give them kudos. But these Rhinos trying to do everything they can. Mark Marshall really trying to step up for the young rookie Alonzo Atkins. What's going on with these Rhinos, Bears? What do you think these Rhinos got to do to turn this around? And give me something that maybe stood out to you in this game as well.
Uh, if the Rhinos could maybe start with the running game a little bit earlier, like they had a big run and then kind of stuck to trying to throw it, and if they would have kept running the ball, I think it would have been a little bit better. Time management wise, they wouldn't be just giving the ball right back to them. So if they were a little bit better with that, I think it would have been a little bit better because they made it close at the end. So
They did.
maybe they could have won if they would have had better time management. But other than that, the rookie's looking pretty good. Mark Marshall really did step up, like you were saying. It's looking good. It's just I feel like the ball's not bouncing in their favor. And it really shows. The Scorpions, they look pretty dominating because all the 3-and-outs that they were forcing. Because did like the Rhinos, like I was saying, their time management was terrible. So 3-and-outs lead to good defensive stats and lead to losses. So
This is true. The Rhinos end up finishing with the third most for points per game, though. And total offense, fifth total offense with the fifth total passing offense, seventh total defense, fourth for rushing defense. The Rhinos seem to be, again, very middle of the pack. Only a couple of them that are below the middle of the pack. What stands out to you, Demons, about these Rhinos, and what do you think they can do to really turn this around?
That third most points per game speaks to the style of game that they usually get caught up in, which is this shootout style, which Scorpions were able to contain this week. But usually, yeah, they get caught up in these high-scoring games that they're just not coming out on the right side of. Defense has some decent numbers in there, especially with the rush rank, and they've got a positive turnover differential. They're not winning the game. They're not coming out on top. Maybe the game's too wide open, and other teams are playing into that. Like the Bears were saying, there's bad time management for sure on that end, because you're going to look at the Scorpions side of it, who you got to say they managed the clock perfectly in that game, especially at the end of the fourth quarter.
For sure.
And the Rhinos, there's nothing wrong with scoring touchdowns fast, but you've got to be able to have some possession in there too. They're in tough. They're on the road against the Wildcats, and that's staring a 1-4 record in the face. You definitely an underdog in this one. They've got to figure something out to beat these Wildcats, or else their season's going to come to an abrupt end at the midway point, because you're looking at a lot of teams that are 3-2. There's only one playoff team with 2 wins right now, so you've at a 1-4 record, you've almost got to win 2 more games right now, and have a 3-2 team lose 2 in a row to get back in the race.
It's so true. I'm so excited about these standings and how they're gonna all play out. Oh my goodness, that's a real exciting and very good point. Another loss or two, man. It's definitely looking grim for these 1-4 teams, because there's a few of them. Now they got their plate full. This reminds me of the Vipers last week, going against these Piranhas, where they're 1-3 or 1-4, going against a powerhouse team, and that's exactly what's going to happen to the Rhinos this week. But let's see if they can turn it around, catch these Wildcats on their heels. Excited for these Rhinos to switch things up and get their team back on track. These Scorpions, though, going against another 1-4 team, their defense, like you said, Demons, is definitely not getting enough love and not getting enough attention. They are tied for first for turnover differential. Then the team they're tied with is the Wildcats. This team could easily be 4-1 right now. 3 kick returns by Jackie Wilson now in 5 games, because he already had 1, and now has two in a row. The owner of the Scorpions said we may have the Devin Hester of the league now. He's super excited about Sneaky Tiki Carter, his running back. This deceiving 12th ranked passing offense for sure, with Anquan Seymour. and Josh Buchanan and Jackie Wilson. They got all the power to do it. And Bob Klein, their tight end, I know he's excited about him because he got him as a free agent. So he drafted that player, so I know he's really excited about him, that's for sure. Demons, what stands out to you when you look at these Scorpions rankings?
I gotta say, Bob Klein. It's probably the most boring name in football, but great tight end. Great tight end. Yeah, the 12th ranked pass offense doesn't matter to these guys. I'm gonna bring it back to my own team a little bit and how I'm the 12th ranked run team. Scorpions are literally the polar opposite of that. These guys run the ball and they're fantastic at it. Their defense will keep them in games, and their defense, numbers aside, that turnover differential is where you really go to see what their defense is doing, because that defense is no joke. And Tiki Carter had an uncharacteristic fumble last week, but he can take over a game, and he can. All you needed to see in this last game, it was how impressive the last 3 minutes of the game were, where the Scorpions just the Rhinos were starting to come back, and the Scorpions literally killed the last 3 minutes of the game. So you're not just killing 3 minutes of clock, you're killing 3 minutes of clock when the Rhinos have 3 timeouts and a 2-minute warning in there. That's a huge accomplishment for that Scorpions offense. So they're not caring about where their number ends up for pass offense. If Tiki Carter's moving the ball, they're having a good day.
Absolutely, you're right. And now they get to host another home game, and they got the Vipers coming to town. The cool stat about these Scorpions that the owner mentioned, that they are the away kings, and this is their 3rd road win in a row. They are 0-2 at home. And you're talking about polar opposite teams. They couldn't be more polar opposite, because the Demons, I believe, are 2-0 at home. And these guys are 0-2 at home, but have won every road game. So pretty cool. And their offense is opposite as well. So it is really cool to see these two new teams coming in the league and dominating like this, both getting 3 wins apiece. Is really cool to see. Very excited for these guys in the Scorpions. Bears, anything that stands out to you in this matchup, and for the Scorpions specifically?
The Scorpions did a really good job running the ball. We already talked about their time management, so that was good. And I agree with the Demons. They're like the opposites. The only reason why their pass offense is 12th is because they don't pass.
Yeah, they don't need to. They run it so well with Tiki Carter, and he's just a bull out there. Not too.
Yeah, I remember the one game I was just like, we were watching. I was like, is that Tiki Barber out there? He just has so much control. And, like every time you're watching him, it's like he's just a beast. He knows exactly what he's doing. There's no way you're not confident he's getting 4 or 5 yards every carry.
Yeah, he's playing really good, and that Denver offense is working really well, bouncing it all off of him. It's really exciting to see, for sure.
The key matchup I'm excited for this week, though, is that 2nd-ranked rush defense from the Vipers against Tiki Carter.
Yeah, look at that 2nd-ranked rushing offense for the Scorpions going against the 2nd-ranked rushing defense for the Vipers. Very good point again. These two matchups with the running game, one's gotta bend, one's gotta break. So let's see which one goes. Only 374 yards allowed so far on the ground. Let's see if these Vipers can shut down the run, and let's see if these Scorpions can, run all over these Vipers that are on the road. Let's see how this one turns out. Excited about this one, that's for sure. And then we'll get into the last matchup, which is the Bears and the Werewolves game. The Bears, what a performance by Bill Captain Morris, Billy Shotgun Billy, whatever you want to call him. He was running the West Coast, and he did not miss a beat. He was playing absolutely phenomenal all game. Lit it right up, and they just basically coasted it out, and were able to come out with the win. That's basically was the feel of the game for me. The Werewolves played really impressive. Kerry Kirkland gets the start once again. He had four touchdowns and 41 points and all that when he first started and got the win. And then they went with a different quarterback, and now he's back at it, scoring 35 points and playing really impressive late in the game. Super excited about Kerry Kirkland and the Werewolves, really looking great on offense. I was definitely really impressed by them. But the Bears just phenomenal on offense. Their quarterback is arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and their running back also had a big game.
Huge game.
Demons, love to hear your breakdown on this one.
Well, the Bears the last 2 weeks have had some tough overtime losses. Bounced here or there, and they could have pulled it off. They could have been 4-0 going into this game. Werewolves, on the other hand, were a team looking to find an identity on offense. They've cycled through a number of quarterbacks. They go back to Kerry Kirkland this week, the starter who had a huge game a few weeks ago. They get the ball to start, and Kerry Kirkland doesn't quite lead the TD drive because Darius Burke did a lot of the heavy lifting. But they did start with the TD drive, and Kerry Kirkland did make some throws on that drive. Bears respond with a 69-yard touchdown run by Hilliard, untouched on a sweep to the right. And yeah, like you guys were saying, Hilliard had one hell of a day here. Werewolves unfortunately go 3-0 after that, and you start, if you're the Werewolves owner, you don't want to see a 3-0 that early in the game. You went back to the quarterback that looked like a stud a few weeks ago, and against these Bears, if you're going to get into a high-scoring game, your odds are poor. These Bears put up points and they put up yards, and if you've got to slow that offense down and get your offense moving with some possession if you're going to beat the Bears. The next drive for the Bears get the ball after the Werewolves 3 and out. Hilliard again gets some nice runs. Morris then hits Hilliard again as a receiver on a 42-yard touchdown. Hilliard motions out to the right. He's just all over the field. And now the next drive, Burke picks up a first down after some runs by the Werewolves, and Kirkland ends up throwing a bad interception on the wide side of the field on second down. Just not the best decision on that throw. And again, you're looking at 2 drives in a row where Kirkland didn't look like the answer. 4 plays later, Morris finds his tight end for a 4-yard touchdown on a little delay route after the Brown, the tight end, quickly blocks a defensive lineman and then sneaks into the end zone wide open. Nice 4-yard touchdown by Morris there. Werewolves respond with a kick return touchdown, much needed for them at this point in the game because they were struggling and the Bears looked like they were going to run away with it. So this put it within 1 score. And then Bears end up having a punt near the 2-minute warning. Kirkland starts throwing, Kirkland starts getting some momentum going, ends up bringing the Werewolves down to the 1-yard line. Burke caps the drive off with a 1-yard touchdown. It's 21-21 right before halftime, but the Bears got one more possession in before the half, and they went to hurry up offense, and it was just a quick strike touchdown response. This first half had a huge amount of points. Werewolves tried to get more points even after that Bears touchdown, but ran out of time after a big pass. They actually ended up on the Bears' 9-yard line, but the clock ran out on them. Oh. We're looking at a 28-21 football game at halftime. That's a whole game's worth of points in one half of football for some other games this week.
Yeah.
To start off the third quarter, the Bears get the ball. Hilliard runs in a 37-yard. What's that?
Said like we always do.
Let him finish.
Sorry.
Well, that's all right. No, I mean, I didn't. The Bears. That's a lucky break. You get the ball every time to start the second half. I mean, if that's the way,
I kick it on purpose.
So all coaches, there's the scouting report on the Bears, letting some information out in the post game this week. just messing with you, man. Hilliard runs a 30. So third quarter, Bears get the ball. Hilliard ends up running a 37-yard touchdown. Another big play by Hilliard. He's had 3 already in the game, 3 huge touchdowns. And this was after Morris had thrown some nice passes, a nice touch pass to start the third quarter. This is a 2-play drive. With 2:55 left in the third and the Werewolves having the ball and driving, Kirkland misses. This is a big play for the Werewolves. Darius Burke is on the wheel route on the right sideline, and the Bears didn't pick him up. He was wide open, and Kirkland just misses him. 2:55 left in the third, that happened. That could have been a huge momentum swing. Werewolves end up punting the ball 2 plays later. And those are the types of plays when you're 1-4, they're backbreakers. You need to make them. Bears get the ball back, drive for a field goal. They kill the remainder of the third quarter, and they're up by 17 to start the fourth. That's a huge hole to go into in the fourth quarter. I mean, even with the way this score ended up, down by 17 in the fourth, you're in a tough position.
For sure.
The stats go up on the score sheet though. Right at the beginning of the fourth, the Werewolves have the ball, and the stat displays Kirkland, 1 career fourth quarter comeback. Well, Kirkland's only played 1 game, and here he is down by 17 right at the start of the fourth quarter, and he leads a touchdown drive to start the fourth quarter, and it's capped off by Darius Burke, who had a monster game himself. Both running backs just having a great day. Werewolves already kicking onside kicks, really early in the fourth. They have to go to onside kicks, and rightfully so. I agreed with the call. Bears recover it, get an easy field goal. They kill some clock along the way. Werewolves get the ball back after the field goal, and the Kirkland carry comeback. Kirkland, his heroics continue. He leaves another touchdown drive, and there's one play where Kirkland looks elite in particular, and he dances in the pocket, avoids some pressure, and ends up hitting Littman on a right corner for a 26-yard touchdown. And that's the type of play you're looking for from him if you're the Werewolves. You look at that play by Kirkland, and you know you can build something with this guy. Great touch on the pass over the defenders, a diving catch by Littman. It's what you need to see for a struggling team to lift him up. They didn't get the onside kick. They ran out of time. The comeback falls short. Luke Atkinson had a huge day, 9 catches, 154 yards for the Werewolves on receiving. No standouts on D. I mean, this was a shootout. I mean, Ike Hall for the Bears had 8 tackles, but maybe more of a result of just being there when being the target on the play. If you're the Werewolves and you look at this game, you got to get points on the board faster than that. Like, you can see that your offense is capable of it. That's the only thing you got to see. If the Bears are up by 17 in the fourth, they're on cruise control to the win. That's my take on the game there, Johnny.
Yeah, that's a great one. No, that's a great take on the game, and I couldn't agree more. Yeah, the Bears, man, they're really impressive offensively, and really excited about the carry comeback Kirkland. Like you said, I remember seeing that graphic too come up when it showed that graphic for the fourth quarter comeback. Very impressed by him, and that play right there for the Werewolves. I hope he saw that play and he watched that game and goes back and watches that play a few times to bring up the spirits, like you're saying, because he's definitely someone that they could build around. These Werewolves, man, and struggling defensively, allowing another 41 points now. So he scored 35 points coming in off the bench without having any sort of gel or momentum or game planning, and I think that's pretty impressive for the young Kerry Kirkland. Really excited to see this Werewolves offense turn it around, because they definitely have the ability to do it. Even though they let up 41 points, I know they got a really killer defense on the rankings, even though they let up 41 points. But again, the Bears showing why they're the Bears and why they were the team to beat, even though the Piranhas are now. Can they turn it around and use this momentum with this big, huge home win? Their team just looked absolutely impressive. Their quarterback was just absolutely lights out for the most part for the game. Bears, give me a little bit on this game before we bring up the rankings.
Willie Hilliard, I gotta say, from last year to this year, overnight change. He is phenomenal. I love him. I'm so glad I didn't give up on him.
It's so true. Yeah, he has struggled last season, I believe.
Last year, I was like 2 seconds away from trading him.
Yeah, and now this season, he's absolutely turned it around. It's so true. That's why you never give up. Never give up.
That option play where he went out to the side and got the touchdown. At first, I was like, who's that? When they caught it, I was like, oh, no way. I was like, he's everywhere.
Yeah, they're really focusing on him. And Bill Morris, man, He's really leading that team. That quarterback for the Bears is really good. That's for sure.
He's really good at spreading the love. I think like everyone got a touch this week.
Let's give these Werewolves a little bit of love. I know they got the 11th ranked total offense and the 11th ranked for points per game, only scoring 23 points a game, which is really low. That's like scorpion numbers. But they also have a really good defense. How do they have a third total defense when you are 1-4? That is pretty incredible to see. Also, now they're hosting another game at home. They're on a 2-game losing streak. They got Kerry Kirkland in there now. They're facing a team that's also on a 2-game losing streak that's 1-4. Whoever loses this game is in big trouble. That's for sure. Demons, what do you think about this matchup, and what stands out to you when you look at the Werewolves specifically?
Desperation game for both teams, Johnny.
Yeah.
The Werewolves, you're talking about that Cobras number for a 23.6 points a game. I think that's who they're tied with.
Yeah.
Just it's night and day how they arrive at that number. The Cobras dictate the pace of the game. They decide that game's going to end up as a low-scoring game with the way they play, and they impose their will on the other team.
Right.
The Werewolves, they had trouble scoring. Every game that did not have a starter named Kerry Kirkland, they've had some trouble scoring. And their defense, earlier in the year, we said that they're not the problem. They were a problem this week, which, no team's going to play perfect every week. I mean, and if you're 1-4, you're far from it. But they had a tough matchup here against the Bears, who we'll see in a second, were one of the top-ranked offenses, or if not the top-ranked offense. The Werewolves at this point, I think they've got to have some consistency moving forward. Kerry Kirkland looked good enough to continue with. I think you keep him going and see how it plays out. Darius Burke had a great game, and he can help out any quarterback. They need to turn that corner fast, because this is you go 1-5 and with a loss to another 1-4 team, that's deep trouble.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, that's for sure. Werewolves are actually one of the few teams that didn't draft a wide receiver or any tight end or wide receiver as well. So they could definitely use that, and that might be coming into play now, going into the later half of the season. Noticing these teams that drafted different ways as well. So the Werewolves were more of a running team, but now their running game is really starting to slow down. And they're trying to go passing game, but they might not have the personnel to really pull it off. And poor Kerry Kirkland's doing everything he can back there to try to right the ship for these Werewolves. Let's see if they can. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, I was going to say a good thing about this game, though, for the Werewolves to note on is how good Darius Burke was playing.
Yeah.
Because he did really good, and the Bears have a good rush defense. So the fact that he was able to do that is good on that. I'd stick to going with him and Kirkland.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's phenomenal. Darius Burke, he is the blood and soul of that team, but they're trying to balance it out with that new quarterback, Kerry Kirkland, and try to get that, because Quincy Barnett was just not getting it done for them. But these Werewolves, man, they let's see if they can turn it around and use that defense. The number 2 passing defense for this Werewolves going against the number 2 passing offense in these Blue Jays. So that's definitely the key matchup for me when these Werewolves are on defense going against this hot Eric Reeves passing game. That's the one I'm going to be watching for sure.
Well, these Blue Jays can score points, and Eric Reeves is going to put up his numbers. This is going to be one of the games to watch next week, because the season is on the line for these teams. This game has giant implications, and I would think that this is one of the top games of the week for importance. That second-ranked pass defense, they didn't really look at against the Bears. Bill Morris was having his way out there. He was making plays all over the place. And I know that Will Hilliard had a great game, and there's the 12th-ranked rush defense, but you let up 41 points. It doesn't really matter how they score. I mean, your defense is a sieve. and the no, like their defense has been better than this previously in the year. But if Bill Morris and Eric Reeves is another gunslinger, just like Bill Morris, and he's gonna make his plays out there. What the Werewolves need to avoid is going into the fourth quarter down by double digits. They need to keep the game close.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. They do need to keep the game close. You're right. Hopefully their defense can do that because, man, this Blue Jays passing offense is dangerous. And the kind of got exposed this week. You're right. The Werewolves against Bill Morris. Let's see if the Eric Reeves is going to be watching the game film on this matchup. That's for sure. And then the last rankings and the last game and the last team is the Bears. And you are right, Demons. They have the number one ranked total offense, and they scored 41 points this week, and finishing with the second for points per game, 34.7. Fourth for the rush, fourth for the pass. That's pretty balanced. And the number one rushing defense holding it down. Third for turnovers. That's huge. Man, these high-powered Bears on offense are going against one of the best defenses, if not the best defense. First-ranked offense going against the first-ranked defense. Holy smokes, that's going to be exciting. And like the Bears were saying before, the third-ranked rushing offense for the Cobras going against the first-ranked rushing defense for the Bears. Demons, want to give me something that stands out to you when you look at these rankings for these Bears?
Everything you just pointed out, John. These teams, their strengths are the other team. Like when you've got a strong offense going against a strong defense, a strong run game against a strong rush defense. Both teams have strengths that counter the other team's strengths. So whoever gets to play their style and dictate the pace is going to win this one. This is my game of the week. This is going to be that is a great storyline going into this one. I can't wait to see how it plays out. I mean, the Bears, they're high powered. They can put up points fast. We'll see if they can do it against these Cobras.
I agree with you. I think this has got to be the game of the week. This might be the Friday night game for sure. Bears, give me a little bit on this. I know you got lots to say.
The Cobras is one of those owners that I actually talked to about our league, so this is gonna be a fun game for sure. It's like a little friendly rivalry.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so the total offense, it's like Demons were saying, it's gonna be huge. Their strengths are my weaknesses, and my strengths are their weaknesses, and they got the best thing to counter mine. Is I got the best to counter theirs.
Oh, yeah.
So it's gonna be a fun game.
Oh,
That's for sure. And if Willie Hilliard can get going and Bill Morris can dictate his pace like the Demons were saying, it look promising for us Bears. But if the Cobras can stop our run game and play their game, like their style, their low scoring game, and it's going to be their game to win. It's going to be all about who gets out there first, who goes out swinging first.
Well, the Bears look very strong, and so do the Cobras. But the last time these guys played each other, because they've only played each other once, the Cobras beat them 35-23, and that was the Cobras' only win of season 2, because they went 1-8. So their only win was against the Bears last season.
We were trying stuff out that week, Cough. Get out of here.
So that is something that you have to mention, needs to be mentioned. So this might be a revenge game for the Bears. And the Cobras definitely are coming into this game confident at 3-2. And one of these teams are going 4-2. So that's super exciting. Wow, what a breakdown, guys. Thank you so much for doing the breakdown with me. That was absolutely in-depth. Super excited about that. Thanks again for your time, guys.
Oh, anytime.
I love it, John. You know it.
All right, guys.
Yeah, it's always fun.